Our first detailed picture is going to be of glycolysis, and so you'll have to bear with me and follow along here. So I told you I'm going to split that 6-carbon molecule in half to make 2 3-carbon molecules. And this first step looks like it would be catabolic and could power something that's anabolic, but this first step actually costs me ATP. It cost me 2 ATP to break that glucose in half. But actually, this goes back to what we talked about a long time ago, right? Anytime you have a reaction, no matter what kind it is, respiration overall is exothermic. But anytime you have a reaction, you have to go up before you can come down. I'm going to have to input some energy to start this process. I need an activation energy, remember. I'm going to use the energy from these ATP molecules to get this whole thing started, right? I have to break some bonds before I can make new ones, right? That's what this first step is for. So that first step technically is anabolic. I'm going from 6 carbons to 3 carbons. It looks like it's catabolic, but it's actually anabolic. It's the next step that's actually catabolic, and everything from here on out is generally going to be catabolic because the whole process is exothermic. It's releasing energy. So I'm going to take those 3-carbon molecules and I'm going to turn them into a couple pyruvates, right? Now those pyruvates also have 3 carbons, but I've kind of shuffled those carbons a little bit. And this is actually exothermic. It's catabolic. It's going to power the production of 4 ATP. From 4 ADP molecules. And I'm also going to make a new molecule that I haven't talked about yet that's called NADH. NADH catches some electrons because it's going to be made from NAD+. It's actually similar to my NADPH from photosynthesis because, again, these processes are not unrelated. They're pretty similar to each other. They're just backwards. They're just the reverse of each other. But a couple major things from this picture that we need to grasp, right? I made some ATP here, but it cost me 2 ATP to start. So first thing, understanding that there's some net results here, right? I'm actually going to, excuse me, erase something I didn't mean to. I'm going to make ATP, but I don't get 4 ATP out of this process because that actually cost me 2 to start. I was in the hole from the beginning. It was only after I made those next 4 that I got a net gain of 2 ATP overall. Right? And then I have a different problem because I have these pyruvates over here that need to be moved into that mitochondria we talked about before. They need to be moved into that inner mitochondrial matrix, right? That inside of the second membrane of that mitochondria. And moving these 3-carbon molecules, so this arrow is meant to be a movement, not a reaction. Moving those things in costs you more energy. It costs you another 2 ATP. So actually, at the end of the day, if I do go on to that next step, I'm going to have a net gain of 0 ATP from this first process. But it's going to be worth it. As long as I have oxygen available, and again, I only do this orange part, right? I'm only going to invest that energy and end up with 0 ATP if oxygen is available. Because as long as oxygen is available, there's a lot more energy in those 3-carbon molecules, and I'm going to end up making a lot more ATP. So it'll be worth it. But there are actually 2 different costs. The first one, that first cost is actually an activation energy, remember? Right, so way up here, I had to start my reaction from the get-go. The second one is actually a cost for an active transport of those 3-carbon molecules into the mitochondria, but I'll only do that if oxygen is available. But this is my overall glycolysis process.